You are born in a high-end private hospital in Culiacan. Your father rents out the entire floor. There are a dozen gunmen lining the hallway. The doctor who delivers you makes more from that single birth than he does in 6 months of normal work. Your first cry is drowned out by the sound of champagne bottles popping. You are 3 days old and there is already an outlaw ballad with your name on it. You did not choose this life chose you. Your childhood is strange. You live on a ranch that feels like a small town. It has a chapel, a soccer field, a racetrack, even a private zoo with a Bengal tiger your dad bought just because he thought it looked badass. You have everything a kid could want except freedom. You cannot go to a normal school, private tutors come to the ranch. You do not play with kids your age. You play with the children of your father's lieutenants, kids who are terrified of you, because they know exactly who you are. Your first real memory is of the men. There are always men with radios, men with rifles, men who stand up the second your father walks into a room, men who call you sir when you are only 6 years old. Your dad is affectionate with you, but distant. He is always busy, always meetings, always calls when he spends time with you. He is generous and attentive, but there is a side of him you never see. The side that makes those men look at him with a mix of loyalty and pure terror. At 8 years old, you ask what your dad does. Your mom, a stunning woman who wears only designer clothes and never leaves the house without perfect makeup, tells you he is a businessman, that he has import and export businesses. You believe her because you want to believe her, but you have already seen things. You have seen men arrive with duffel bags, they check in private, you have heard code words you do not understand, but you feel you should not repeat. Your education is a contradiction. On one hand, your father insists that you study. I have to be smarter than me, he tells you. I had to learn on the streets. You are going to learn from books. You have access to the best tutors. You learn English fluently. They teach you advanced math, history, and literature. And on the other hand, you also learn lessons that do not come in books. You learn never to fully trust anyone. You learn that power is not requested, it is taken. You learn that loyalty is bought and betrayal is punished. At 12 years old, your father takes you to your first real meeting. It is at one of his mountain ranches. You arrive by helicopter. There are 30 men waiting. Everyone stands. When you arrive, your father introduces you. This is my son one day. He is going to be sitting where I am. Respect him as you respect me. The men nod. You barely understand what is happening, but you feel the weight of their stares in that moment. You stop being a child. You become the heir. You meet the accountant around that same time. He is a thin, nervous man in his 40s. Who wears glasses and always carries a laptop. Your father treats him with a strange respect. It is not the respect he has for the hitmen. It is different. This man is worth more than 20 commanders. Your father explains later, the ones who pull the trigger are important, but the one who knows where the money is and how to move it without anyone noticing that one is irreplaceable, the accountant explains his job to you once, simplifying it so you understand. Imagine your dad sells lemonade. He says, but he cannot tell the government he sells lemonade because they would ask questions, so I create shell companies on paper, gas stations that only exist in document stores that never open, and I make it look like all the lemonade money comes from those businesses. The government sees the papers, and everything looks legal. When you ask if that is not cheating, he smiles. Sadly, it is cheating, but it is a cheat that keeps many people alive, including me. Your adolescence is a constant clash between two worlds. You spend seasons in San Diego with your mom, living like a normal rich kid. You go to malls, to concerts, to parties. No one knows who you are. You can be almost normal. Then you go back to Sinaloa, and remember that normal will never be an option for you. You return to the ranch, to the armored trucks, to the gunmen, to the reality of what your last name means at 15. You have your first Rolex at 16, your first car, a Mercedes G-Wagon that costs more than an average house. Your father gives it to you on your birthday, along with a Glock 19. The car is for you to enjoy. He says the gun is for you to survive. You learn to shoot at a private range. You are good, better than good, but every time you hold the weapon you think about what you really need it for. It is not for sport. You start to understand the real business. Your father no longer hides anything from you. He explains the structure. At the top is him, the boss. Below him are the lieutenants, who control territories. Each territory has cells that move product, but the real power, the one that keeps everything running, is in 3 key positions: the head of security, the one who controls the routes, and the accountant. Without the first, you cannot defend your territory. Without the second, you cannot move the merchandise. Without the third, the money has no value because you cannot use it, he explains. You observe how the financial operation works. The accountant has a team, now 5 people, who work in a discreet office in Monterey. They look like normal employees of an accounting firm, and technically that is what they are, but their real job is to convert millions in cash into legitimate assets. They buy casinos, gas stations, restaurants. They create export and import companies. They move money through 15 countries before it returns to Mexico. It is a financial ballet so complex that even the tax authorities get confused. Your father teaches you about respect and fear. You earn respect by being fair and generous. You earn fear by being relentless when necessary. You need both, only respect and they see you as weak, only fear, and they betray you as soon as they can. You see examples of both. You see your father help entire Communities build schools, pay for funerals, give away trucks at Christmas. You also see what happens when someone betrays him. You do not see the details, but you see the results. People who disappear, families who flee in the night, messages that are sent without words. At 18, your father sends you to study business administration at a private university. You are an official student from a wealthy family, you have classmates, you go to parties. You even have a girlfriend who thinks your family is in the avocado business, but there are always 2 discreet bodyguards 50 yards away. Your truck is armored. Even if it does not look like it, you change routes every day. You never stay in the same house 2 weeks in a row. You learn that being the son is living in a paradox. You have all the money you want, but you cannot enjoy it freely. You are respected and feared, but you cannot have real friends. You have power but no freedom. You can buy anything except anonymity. You can go anywhere, except where you really want to go. A normal life. Your father starts to include you in important meetings. You meet the Colombian partners, elegant and educated, who talk about tons as if they were stocks on the market. You meet the American distributors, nervous and pragmatic, who only want their product on time. You see how the accountant presents financial reports in PowerPoint, as if it were a legitimate corporate meeting. There are growth charts, cost analysis, profit projections. The only difference is that the product in question is illegal, and losses are not measured in money, but in lives. You start to participate in the financial side of the business. The accountant teaches you the basics of money laundering. He explains about shell companies, smurfing and fake loans between offshore companies. Your father moves product, he tells you, but I move the money that product generates, and honestly, moving the money is harder than moving the drugs. You hide the drugs in trucks, but the money has to look legitimate to governments that have increasingly smart computers. You learn about the layers of protection. The accountant never works directly with those who move drugs. There are 3 layers of separation. He receives the cash from who receive it from other intermediaries. If the police catch someone, it is almost impossible to connect it directly with the real operations. It is like an onion. He explains each layer, protects the next, and in the center of that onion are you, your father, and the accountant. You see the stress the accountant lives with. He is 38 years old but looks 50. He does not sleep well. He takes pills for anxiety. He drinks too much. Once you find him in his office at 3 in the morning, checking bank transactions for the 10th time. A mistake of $500 can cost me my life, he tells you so. I check everything 3 times, then I check it 2 more times. You understand that his value is also his sentence. He knows too much to let him go. He is too important to risk. He lives in a golden cage that he built himself. Your role in the organization begins to be defined. You are not a hitman. Your father is clear, but you do not get your hands dirty. That is for others. You are not a field operator either. You represent the family. That means you are above the daily operations. Your function is to be the visible air. You attend meetings. As an observer, your presence is a reminder of continuity. When I am not here, your father says you are. The guarantee that things stay the same, but the reality is more complex. There are internal tensions. Lieutenants who have more experience and believe they deserve the power more than you men who have been in the business since before you were born and who see you as a privileged child. Your father handles these tensions with mastery. He gives you small but visible responsibilities. You oversee a route, you approve a payment, always with the guidance of men loyal to your father, but always being you who gives the final order. You learn the language of the business. You do not say drugs, you say product or merchandise. You do not say kill, you say heat up the plaza or solve a problem. You do not say bribe, you say investment in public relations. The accountant is a master at this. He has an entire corporate vocabulary for criminal activities. The hitmen are security personnel, the drug routes are distribution chains, the offshore accounts are international investment vehicles. At 20 years old, you have already seen too much. You have been in meetings where the fate of people was decided. You have seen the before and after of betrayals. You have not pulled triggers, but your decisions have had lethal consequences. You start drinking to sleep, first beer, then whiskey. Your father notices. Be careful with that. He warns you in this business. You cannot have weaknesses. Alcohol is a weakness that others can exploit. You meet the daughter of another important boss. She is beautiful, educated in Switzerland, speaks 4 languages your families arrange. A meeting. It is not exactly an arranged marriage, but it is not casual either. It is an alliance. She understands the business because she grew up in it, just like you. Her father controls territory in Jalisco. Your father controls Sinaloa. A union between families means peace, shared roots, consolidated power. You date her for a year. She is intelligent and understands your world because it is her world too. But romance is complicated when both are guarded 24/7 and every date is a security event. The accountant explains the evolution of laundering to you. Before it was easy. He says you arrived with suitcases of cash at the bank and no one asked questions. Then came the anti-money laundering laws and we had to be creative. Now with artificial intelligence and international cooperation, we have to be artists. He shows you operations involving cryptocurrencies, NFTs, and fake tech startups. We buy Bitcoin with cash in Venezuela. We transfer it to wallets in Singapore, we sell it in Europe. The money returns as an investment in a Mexican software company that basically does nothing except exist on paper. You see the infrastructure behind the empire. It is not just armed men. There are lawyers, Accountants, corrupt bankers, politicians, on the payroll, police who warn of operations. Your father has an invisible army of people in legitimate positions who make the illegitimate possible. The mayor of a small town who earns $1,500 a month receives an additional $2,500 not to see certain trucks. The customs officer who earns $700 receives $5,000 to have problems with his inspection system. Just when a certain container passes, your education continues. Your father teaches you about loyalty. Never trust anyone 100%. Not even your best friend or your brother. Trusting is necessary, but blind trust is suicidal. He teaches you about calculated generosity. Be generous with your people. Pay will help their families, but let them know that generosity comes with expectations. Loyalty is bought, but it is also maintained with results. At 22, the inevitable happens. There is a large operation. The Navy. The American government pressing. They catch 2 important lieutenants. They freeze accounts. They seize properties. It is the strongest blow the organization has received in years. Your father calls an emergency meeting. All the bosses are there. The accountant arrives pale. We lost access to $50 million in 3 different banks. He reports we have another $200 million safe, but we need to move them fast. It is your first real crisis. You see your father under pressure. He is still the same calm man, but there is a tension in his eyes. He makes quick decisions. Move everything you can to Panama in 48 hours, he tells. The accountant closed the northern routes temporarily. We activate the maritime routes through Guerrero. Then he looks at you. You are going to Guadalajara with your mother until this calms down. It is not negotiable. For the first time you understand that your father is not only protecting you from danger, he is protecting you from the business if they catch him. He needs you to be clean. You spend 3 months in Guadalajara. It is torture. You want to be there, in the center of the action, but you also understand the logic. If your father and the main bosses fall, someone has to stay outside to rebuild. That someone is you during those months. The accountant keeps you informed discreetly. He sends you encrypted reports. He explains how he is moving money through new routes, how he is using decentralized crypto exchanges, how he is buying physical gold in Dubai and keeping it in Swiss vaults. The crisis passes. Your father is too smart to connect it. The captured lieutenants do not talk because they know their families are being cared for financially, and because they know what happens if they talk. The frozen accounts were important, but not vital. The accountant had diversified so much that losing $1 million hurt but did not paralyze anything. This is why we have money in 15 different countries. He explains so that a blow is never fatal. You return to the business with a new understanding. You are no longer just the observing son. You are the active heir. Your father begins to delegate real decisions to you. You approve large payments. You resolve disputes between cells. You represent the family in meetings with other cartels. There is always someone older and more experienced advising you, but the final decision is yours, and everyone knows that your decision is definitive. Because you carry the last name, the accountant becomes your most important ally. You understand what your father said. The hitmen come and go. The distributors are replaceable, but the accountant is unique. He knows where every cent is. He knows every offshore structure. He can move millions with a few keys. If something happens to me, your father tells you one day, the first thing you do is protect the accountant. Before territories, before routes, you protect the one who knows where the money is. Without money, there is no organization. You learn about the cartel economy on a macro scale. The accountant shows you numbers that surprise you. The organization generates approximately $3 billion a year in gross revenue. After production costs, transportation, bribes, and security, there are around $800 million in net profits. Of that, $400 million are successfully laundered and become legitimate assets. The rest stays as cash hidden in warehouses, buried in ranches, waiting for its turn to be cleaned. The problem is not generating money, the accountant explains. The problem is what to do with it. We have so much cash that it literally rots in some warehouses because of the humidity. We lose millions due to physical deterioration of the paper money. It sounds ridiculous, but it is real. That is why we need to wash constantly cash that cannot be used as dead money. Your life is surreal. You are 23 years old officially. You are a young entrepreneur in the real estate business. You have offices, employees, legitimate projects that really build things, but the reality is that those businesses are only part of the laundering system that the accountant designed. You build residential developments using dirty money. You sell them to real buyers at fair prices. The money you receive is already clean. It is a perfect cycle, but behind the legitimate facade is your true life. Secret meetings, decisions that affect thousands of people, delicate alliances with other cartels, silent wars for territories. You are like a CEO of a multinational corporation, except that your corporation traffics drugs and your competitors do not sue you, they kill you. You start to question everything late at night, alone in your luxury apartment. You wonder who you would be if you had been born into another family. If your father were a doctor, a teacher, a normal merchant, you wonder if you would have the option to leave even if you wanted to. The answer is obvious: no. You were born into this, and you will die in this. Your last name is your identity, your power, and your prison. The accountant shares your existential despair. One night after too many drinks, he confesses to you, "Do you know what is the saddest thing? I am brilliant, really. Brilliant. I could have been CEO of a Fortune 500 company. I could have taught at universities instead. I use my talent to help pass cocaine through the border, and I cannot even leave because I know too much. You see how your father ages? He is 52 years old but looks 65. The stress, the constant paranoia, the permanent threats he has survived for assassination attempts. He has seen most of his childhood friends die. He is still powerful, but the price of power is written in the wrinkles of his face and in the way he checks every room before entering, and you realize that this is your future. Maybe you have 10, 15, 20 more years of power then. If you are lucky, you retire before they kill you. If you are not lucky, you end up dead or in a maximum security prison. There are no happy endings in this business. There are only less bad endings, and the less bad ending is living long enough to see your own son enter the business, perpetuating the cycle. The accountant works on a contingency plan for you. If everything collapses, he tells you have these 5 accounts in Switzerland, these 3 in Singapore, these 4 properties in Spain that are in the name of companies that no one can trace back. To you, you have approximately $75 million accessible in 24 hours. It is your life insurance, but both know that money is not really the problem. The problem is that you are known, your face has appeared in intelligence reports of 3 countries. International agencies know who you are. You cannot simply disappear on a beach in Thailand. Wherever you go, your last name haunts you, so you keep going. Every day is a performance. You smile in meetings, you make decisions, you maintain the image of a secure and capable heir, but inside a part of you died a long time ago. The part that dreamed of being different, the part that wanted a normal life, that part is buried. Along with all the illusions of your childhood, you are the son of the boss. You were born in a palace that is also a prison. You have everything except freedom. You are feared and respected but never really known. You live surrounded by people but completely alone, and each day you survive is simply another day in a sentence that began the day you were born and will end the day you die. This is your truth. You are the heir to an empire built on suffering. You are a prisoner of a last name that is worth millions but costs everything, and the darkest thing is that you no longer even know if you want to escape, because this is the only thing you know. This is your world, and in this twisted world, you are the prince of a kingdom that no one would want to inherit.